trans
Okay.
I am transitioning from a buyer's agent on the Chris and Caleb team to a listing agent.
Okay. How long have you been a buyer's agent?
Since I joined the team back in November of 2017.
Okay. Okay, great. So it's really interesting. You've sold 19 homes. It sort of evened out that there's a full 19 houses, but I see one month you sold 4.7. How do you sell 0.7 houses?
Yeah. So is that because of the split on the team?
Yes,
That's the partial unit. Yeah.
exactly. That's correct. That's right. So this shows your total sales side volume, your total closed volume. All right.
Awesome. Yeah. That's
And
the number I don't pay any attention to. GCI.
okay.
I have no idea
Yeah.
what that looks like. So.
These are very, very exciting numbers. So what I wanted to point out to you, you had two tremendous months. You had in August and in September, you had 4.5 sales. And then again, in September, you had 4.7 sales. Tell me about that.
So yeah, that was a lot of long days, long nights, and multiple offer situations. Yeah, just a lot of being consistent. And I think coming out of the shutdown with COVID was a huge part of that. Through COVID, continuing to work on finding buyers and that kind of stuff. And then once we came out of the shutdown, really just consistently doing the activities needed to get people under contract.
All right, that's fantastic. So do you have a pretty big pipeline?
So my buyer pipeline is decent. My listing pipeline is not. So as I'm transitioning, that's where I really have to focus on building. So I'm finishing out my buyer pipeline while trying to build the listing side.
So what will happen to your buyer pipeline?
That will be gone soon.
Okay, but is it going to transition to someone else on the team, or someone else is going to work with your buyers?
Yeah. So if somebody, the goal is by January. So if somebody is actively still working and it's somebody that I've, done a lot of offers for and they're still pretty consistent, then I will finish out with those. But the majority of my pipeline is going to transition to other people on the team.
Okay, that's fantastic. Tell me, how important is it for you to have a predictable income?
Yeah, it's really important for my family. So we have always kind of been, when things are good, saving money so that if there's months where things are off, then that money is still there. At this point, though, with building my business, I want to be able to commit to my family with how much I'm going to contribute to the family income every month. And I want to get to a place where it's consistent. And I truthfully don't know my numbers enough to be able to make that commitment to them.
Okay. All right, great. I understand that. So when you look at, you've got a gap here in February, so you didn't make any money in February.
Correct.
Yeah. That is huge. If you can keep your pipeline and your production moving at a steady pace, and you can work on having, I would always set my goal. When I was in sales, I wanted to have at least 4 listings a month. And because we know 4 listings are going to bring you in to at least 2 buyers a month. So just focusing on the month and breaking that month down. You can't predict when things are going to close, but you can certainly predict when you're going to take the business in, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. All right, great. So that predictability. So you had a great year, very, very consistent. You did fantastic. And you had a couple of just bang up months there in August and September. And I know that was hard work, but it definitely boosted your year.
Yes, ma'am.
You closed like $3 million in 2 months there.
Wow. I had no idea.
Right. See? Yeah. That's the point of knowing these and getting the chance to take a look at them. And so Jeff, let's bounce back here and go back. And now we're going to pull up another report, which is going to be the closed transaction list. Hey, we still have 24 people on here. Are you bored? You're sleeping out there? How are you doing?
Cindy, I just had a couple observations, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I loved how conversational the interaction was between you and Jackie. I liked how you took your time. It was not a rushed conversation. I thought it was great that Jackie was doing most of the talking, and she was self-discovering. And I think the thing that is so important about it is that this gave her an opportunity to look at how well she's doing and what a great year she's having, because being in sales, we always say we're only as good as our last month. And you get to actually acknowledge some of the wins and say, hey, you know what? I'm having a great year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great feedback. Everybody else still awake? So now this is a different snapshot. All right. What I like about this one, Jackie, is it's going to show you your total units over here on the left. It's going to show your total GCI and your total volume so far for the year. This is again year to date.
Okay.
And then it breaks out your units. Now your units, you've had 0.6 in the listing side, and then you had 19 on the sales side. And then as you scroll down, you can see each one of these property types with the address, and it'll refresh your mind and go, oh my gosh, that's Linden Way. You know what? I haven't talked to those people recently.
Right.
And you can go down further and you go, you know what? The people on Winding Way, they had a cousin who was thinking about buying. I can call them too. So these reports can give you so much information. Do you see that?
Yeah, I think this is helpful, especially on those months where I had a lot more transactions and probably just because of the nature of being busy, didn't follow up with those people the way that I probably should have, like the 2-week check-in, the, 1 month check-in kind of stuff. I didn't do that as well with those. So this is a good reminder to follow up with those people.
And I know we're not doing a lot of, door knocking these days. However, is Revolutionary Court, is that a townhouse community?
It is.
Okay. So one of the things that's really cool is if there were multiple offers on that property, I mean, that is a great neighborhood to farm and let people know that there were multiple offers on these properties, and let them know that you're looking for listings in that neighborhood. Because you represent the buyers and you have other buyers that are interested. So if you scroll down a little bit further, Jeff, you can see the rest of this list, and it's a nice long list that shows your whole year, and that'll help you revisit each of these properties and those people.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things you could all do is, Jackie's been in the business for several years now. This is her 3rd year full-time, right, in the business?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, kind of 2nd year full-time. I mean, weren't you more part-time the first year?
Yes. Yeah. I had a little one who was home all the time. So.
Right. So if you go to your reports, and it doesn't matter if you sold 5 houses or 3 houses or 25 houses, this report printed out for you on a monthly basis is like your go-to list for these people. And there's another report that we're not even printing that actually has the names of each of your buyers and each of your sellers. So Jeff, if you go backward and we'll get out of this report, and it shows you that there's a sales transaction detail. We're not going to open it, but you see that one? That report has the names of every single person you worked with. So it's right there.
Christmas card time. There
you go. So there's one more report, Jeff, I'd like you to jump on, please. And that would be the multi-year trend report. Now, this is my favorite report if you've been in the business for a while, because this truly is kind of your blood pressure. Like, I take my blood pressure often, and I know whether it's up or down because I record it. So when you open this up, Jackie, this is going to give you all of the metrics of your business.
That's cool.
And one of the things that I think is super significant, take a look at the closed units at and Jeff, show her where where you are year to date and month to month. What does that say to you?
I'm not exactly sure. So is this comparing like last October to this October?
Yes. On
the one, and then the year to date, like can you explain a little bit more what those are?
Yes, year over year, your business is up 35.7% over last year.
That's crazy.
And then the year before, it was up 31% over the previous year.
It's fun.
Double pats on the back. You should be, that is absolutely fantastic. And everybody on this call, not everybody is up. Not everybody is up this year. Believe me, there's a lot of people who their business is not up, or it is very much the same, or it may be down a little bit. But when I think about COVID and the fact that we were shut down for 2.5, 3 months, and then we had so many restrictions, we had to change and switch gears. Anybody whose business is up in this year is doing a fantastic, fantastic job. You're working through with a lot of barriers and obstacles. So Jackie, let's look at the closed sales volume. There's a trick question here for you. Your closed sales volume, what is it up year over year?
The 38.8%.
Yes. And how much was your closed units were up? 35%.
Mm-hmm.
There's a 3% difference in that. Wonder why?
Is that referrals?
No, it's a great answer though. It's not. Jeff, let's scroll down and let's check out Jackie's average sale price. Okay, guys, this one is wonky because it's about 6 pages and it's going to load slow here. Sorry. Look at there. Look at your average sales price.
Yeah. Wow.
How incredible is that?
That's crazy.
So guess what, everybody? If you increase your average sales price, guess what else goes up? What else goes up?
Your income.
Your income. You can do the same amount of business or less, but if you focus on increasing your sales price. So this is tracking your sales price growth. So Jackie, when we look at your GCI, which is your gross commission income, up 32% over last year. And then we look at what you paid in company dollar. Remember, you paid Keller Williams 10.5 because you're on a team, and you paid the team your split. And then you also paid your royalty. And then you have your 1099 income. So your 1099 income is where you are there. So your 1099 is up 37.2%.
Wow.
How does that feel?
Feels good. I want to show this to my husband.
It should feel great. And that is a great thing to do, to show that to your husband. You know, there's huge validation in these reports.
Yeah. And also, like, my children, as silly as that sounds, because I think sometimes our families don't understand, like, they don't know whether I sold 5 houses last year or 50 houses. So I think, yeah, I think this shows them that the hard work is paying off.
Absolutely. I love that. Does anybody have any questions? And Jackie, we can talk, we can talk later at another time, and I'm happy to go over these reports with you. But does anyone have any questions? You can pop them in the chat or ask out loud. There's only a few of us on the call, so we'd be happy to have your questions.
Cindy, I was going to say one of the things, I used to try to put this stuff together at my former brokerage and wasn't able to do it, at this level. It would take forever. And the challenge is we get so busy, so we often forget about it. And one of the simple things that has helped us out is we just set a simple reminder every month on repeat that, by the 10th, 9th or 10th of the following month, we're just going to review the numbers. And then this way we don't even have to think about it.
That's right. That's right. These reports are out by the 10th of every month. In most cases, they're out by the 10th of every month. Sometimes they come out a little bit later, but this is your go-to. This is almost as good as looking at your bank account. This tells you where you are. I'd like to jump in, and we've still got time here. And Carmen, are you still on?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Can we jump through? You look at your reports really quickly?
Sure.
I'm going to do the same thing, and we're going to go fast. So have you had a chance to look at your reports?
Yeah, so I use a combination of these reports in my KW, as well as sort of a broad overview that I keep track of myself, just more for tracking transactions and sort of year-over-year income and average sales and all that. But I love these reports because I can get a much deeper dive than sort of like what Dave said, like the me trying to track it and put it together.
That's great. That's great. And everybody wants to do their own thing. We appreciate that. We just want you to know that these are here for you and they're already done pretty well. So how do you feel about looking at your income summary this year?
Not happy with it. So my goal coming into this year was to do 10 million. I average about 2.9% per transaction. So that GCI number should be closer to 290. I did have a pretty strong November and some stuff pending already for December. So I'll end the year probably about 6.7 million to 7 million. So shy of my goal, but again, you know, that goal was set pre-COVID. Still growth versus last year, but you know, not where I want to be. But there's definitely stuff coming in the pipeline.
So Carmen, tell everybody how long you've been at KW and how long you've been a full-time realtor.
Yeah, so this is my, so I got my license in June of 2018. I was dual career for 6 months. Went full-time in January of 2019. Always been with KW. So this is, yeah, and in December, I'll finish my second full year as an agent.
That's right. So not even 2 years into it. And this is very, very impressive, Carmen. We're so proud of you. What's your goal?
Thank you.
What's your goal for 2021?
I'm going for 10 million again. And it should be a slam dunk. I'm actually expanding my team. My wife, who's also on the call, is working on her licensing and going to be joining the team. So I think 10 million is going to be a slam dunk for us.
Okay, that's fantastic. I love that. I love that. And if you don't hit the goals, is that okay?
Not exactly. I gave myself a little bit of a pass this year because of COVID. You know, I'll still grow versus last year. So I'll be up about 6% in GCI, or 6% in volume, and about 14% in GCI. It's a little bit artificially inflated because I was in coaching at the beginning of last year.
Okay.
But no, it's not okay for us not hit our goals. We are now spouses selling houses, and if we don't make the money, then there's no food on the table.
There's two of you in it, right? You're all in. You're all in.
Exactly.
So Jeff, let's go back now on Carmen's report and let's go pull up his monthly production summary. Scroll, scroll, scroll. All right, there we go. So expanding this a little bit so we can all see it a little bit better. Now we're looking at your year at a glance, and we've got a total of 14 closed units. And you've got 4.2 closed business. And I think what's also interesting here is you had a couple of really fantastic months. So tell me what happened in June. You had 3 closings there, and it looks like you were on 100% commission. How did that feel?
Fantastic. So I'm actually, I just closed one this week, or last week, I mean, in the 700s, and that'll cap me for the year. So I'm excited to, you know, to be on full commission between now and end of June next year.
Wow.
But, you know, one of the big things I track on my own, in addition to looking at the KW reports, is where I am to my cap goal. So it's, you know, that to me is sort of table stakes to get to the cap and then just go from there. So it does feel fantastic.
Okay. So guys, does everybody see where under company dollar column it shows 0, 0, 0, 0? Are you looking at that? That means that the Carmen wasn't paying anything into the company during those months when he had those closings. That's unique. So all of you new people, you're going to get recruited big time by other companies. They're going to, you know, want to give you the Brooklyn Bridge and the moon and the stars and the sun. Very few people have 100% commission, and most of them don't have title and insurance and profit share and some of the other cool things that we have that we also have reports of. So Carmen, you had another couple of great months there. How important is consistency for you, and how are you going to make sure your business is consistent and predictable next year?
Yeah, so I like that I closed at least one thing every month. Of course, COVID slowed me down, and that, you know, some of that got pulled into, you know, June and July. But I look at, if I look at my average sale price, which is hovering right around 350, I know we've got to do 29 transactions next year. I'm a little buyer heavy still. And I think that's, part of that comes with being new to the business. But, our goal for next year is to be more evenly split between buyer and seller. But essentially, we know we need to do about 29 transactions to get to the 10 million next year. And then, any rentals we do are just kind of gravy on top. So, consistency to me is important. I do also keep some pretty heavy reserves in my business. So if I do have an off month, it doesn't hurt as much. But consistency is definitely the goal.
Yes, the predictability is great. I'm glad you pointed that out. So Jeff, if you go over to the far left column, listings taken at the bottom, it says 4 listings taken. And so you've had 4 you had 4 or 5 listings close out of your total 14. Do you know what your numbers are?
Right.
You had 4 or 5 closed.
So
Those
it's
is numbers.
4.
So that's huge. So, so everybody on the call, do you know where you should be with your business? Should you be at, 50-50 or 70% buyers, or do you know where you should be? Do you know where you want to be? And you know why? So the old phrase in the business is those who list last. Those who list last. You control your time more. You're going to pick up the buyers. You're always going to have buyers. And you can control the listing side so much better in your business and the predictability of it. Jeff, let's jump to the next report, which would be Carmen's closed transaction list. Whoops.
Yeah, you'll have to give me a minute. We timed out.
We timed out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all right. So
Judy, can I
absolutely jump in.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, only because I'm very much in that transition with being a buyer's agent to a listing agent. I always resisted the idea of listings because I felt like I could find a buyer a house, but I couldn't necessarily find a buyer for a house. So I always was like resistant to becoming a listing agent. And now that I'm doing it, this past weekend, I got to spend the weekend home with my family and was still able to get a client under contract, but I wasn't running and showing houses. I wasn't running around. I wasn't on the time crunch of other people. And that's very different on the listing side. So it's an encouragement to those, like, get the listings, they bring buyers anyway, and just keep plugging away.
That's great. Absolutely great comment. And we have to have both. And because that's how you know the market and the inventory. If you're not working with buyers, then you don't know the market. Because when you're working with buyers, then you can say, well, listen, I showed the house 3 doors down and I sold the house, on the other street. So, we have to have both worlds. That's sort of the way that works. Jeff, I think we can just skip this report for Carmen and jump right to his multi-year trend report. The reason we're doing this, and we're talking to Jackie and to Carmen, is we want you to just see these reports and get accustomed to looking at them and get accustomed and figuring out how to find them. So, and the trickiest part of the whole thing is the scrolling and waiting sometimes for them to open. That's the worst part of all of it. So Carmen, closed units. How do you feel about that year-to-date number?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, it goes back to, the earlier conversation about, my income. It's not where my goal was for this year. I do have, 5 more that are pending right now or that aren't shown on these reports. So 2 that are already closed this month and another 3 that are closing this month and next month. So from a units perspective and from a volume perspective, not where I want it to be. I'll still end the year, as I said, about 6% growth year over year, which, growth is positive. It'd be great if it was a much bigger number.
Does having your number,
but
is your number, if not hitting your goal, does that motivate you or does that discourage you?
No, it motivates me. I'm never one to sort of look at something as too big of a challenge. And, and if anything, so when I became a full-time agent in January 2019, I didn't have an option to fail, and I was terrified. I mean, I was 6 months in the business. I had closed two transactions, one buyer, one seller side, and here I was for the first time ever in my career not being a W-2 employee, and it was terrifying. Um, but I think because I didn't have an option to fail is why I didn't fail.
Yeah.
And I try to tell that to new agents as well, like whenever I'm in a training or just in a conversation, because you have the ability to rise to the challenge, right? I mean, and it goes back to the self-limiting beliefs, right? Like we often tell ourselves it can't happen. And that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes, yes. So, and that's, to me, the awareness of your numbers is really, really important. Plus, there's a whole other reason that we encourage you to grow in your business. I don't know if we have time to do the goal setting. Can we jump quickly? Is everybody good if we run over a little bit? We've already run over. Can we go another 10, 15 minutes or 10 minutes? If you can. So, Jeff, while you're loading up the command, I'm going to talk a little bit about, Keller Williams world is all about helping you grow your business and actually become business owners, not just salespeople. We don't want you to promote our brand. You are the brand. What's really important to all of us is to help you have multiple streams of income. And for those of you that are either buying investment property, you're thinking about buying investment property, or you're beginning to invest in the title company or the insurance company, that's just very exciting for us. I mean, we're one of the only companies in the United States that has a joint venture in title and insurance, where you get to participate in receiving the profits in the title company and the insurance company. And we've got a fair number of people, I'd say maybe 15 or 20 total out of our 3 market centers, that make more money than they pay into Keller Williams because of earning maybe 10 or 15,000 a year in the title company, maybe earning another 5,000 from the insurance company, maybe earning another 5,000 or more from profit share when you help grow our companies. So we end up being a net zero cost to you at the same time that you have the opportunity for the training and the support that we love to give you. So when you're fully engaged and you're here on these calls and you're doing training and you're in the market centers and you're talking to other agents and you're helping other people, you're going to be rewarded, very well, obviously with the knowledge and the skills that you're going to bring to buyers and sellers, but it's also going to be mostly rewarding for your family. I'll turn it over to you, Jeff.
Dave, did you want to jump in real quick?
No, I just wanted to say thank you because I've interacted with other KW folks around the country, and although I thought that was the standard protocol across all KW franchises, I realized that decision had a lot to do with who the OP was. So I just wanted to acknowledge that because it's important. It really does, and it adds up over time.
It really does. Thank you. You're all welcome. There's enough to go around for everybody. We just want more people to be getting what they need and want.
But then we thought a really logical next step to this would be is now you've seen all of your historical data and you know where you were. So the next step is to figure out where you want to be. And that's all about goal setting. So I just wanted to show you the one piece of command of our technology that we have available to you that really makes your goal setting easy. And again, if this is the perfect time to start thinking of, or come up with your 2021 goals. So when you log into your command, this is actually one of the little sections that pops up automatically. It's one of the default sections. So if you haven't set your goals in command yet, this will all be blank. But to do that, all you have to do is click on goals. And it's going to load up the reporting section here. Just give it a second to load up. But it's a simple 2.5 step process. So it's pretty amazing. So you simply click on add your goal settings, and then you go through the whole process, and you start with how much profit do you want your business to make. You add in what percentage of your business is going to be expenses versus, this is straight up from the MREA. And then write down, once you add those in, it'll roll up all of your data here, and it'll show you exactly how many leads you need to generate, to how many contacts you need to make, how many appointments you need to set, how many appointments kept, agreements. So it's whittling its way down, and how many closed units you're going to need, all based on the profit that you said you wanted to hit for the year.
Can you go back to where you put those goals in there, Jeff?
Absolutely. That's a little better view. There we go. So yeah, so here we go. We're going to go in here, goal setting. It just guides you right through, and you just click get started. I'm just going to edit my 2021 or 2020 goals so you can actually see the results here. So all you have to do is go right down this right-hand side, and as you edit, if you have any questions about anything, you can hover over the eye. It'll tell you exactly what we're looking at here, what you're supposed to be putting in. So say we wanted to adjust that to 300,000. You can see everything automatically starts changing over here on the right. So it automatically does it for you.
And that's your annual net profit goal. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yes, before taxes and after subtracting the cost of sales and operating expenses. Yep.
Okay.
Then you add in your expenses. So any salaries, office space, anything that you would pay, that's not part of a transaction. Your cost of sales. So this is, any splits that you're paying to anybody else, transaction coordinators, anything you're paying to the market center would come out of here. How you make up your business, what percentage, and your average commission per unit. You click next. And then it's going to bring you to this goal conversion rate section. And it automatically is going to populate some percentages for you. And this is what KW has noticed. It says it right here. The default conversion rates below are conservative benchmarks. So you can adjust them if you want. But right now what it's saying is that you'll have a 5% lead to contact conversion. You work your way down. You can edit that however you like. Save and continue. You're done. That's it. That's all it's going to ask you for. Could take you 5 minutes, if that. And then once you close that up, it'll take you back here. It'll take all those numbers you plugged in, and it'll populate all of this data here based on those numbers.
That's great. That's awesome. What do you think, y'all? My Southern accent's coming out now. Anybody still there? I see a bunch of people still here.
I'm here.
We're here. Good stuff.
What are you thinking?
I like the profit tracker. I think that's really neat to see it at a glance where you're at.
And just so you know, this will obviously fill up as you put opportunities through command. As you go through your year, once they get closed out, this will start filling up for you.
Any questions or feedback on any of the reports that we went over? I mean, if you're brand new here, your reports don't have a lot of data in them. So that's why we went over this with Jackie and with Carmen, having been here 2 and 3 years. So it does take a while for the reports to fill out. And that's why we certainly encourage you to track your own numbers any way you can, but your numbers are all there. No matter what you've done, it's there. And any questions, any comments, any ahas from anybody?
Cindy,
Okay.
we were talking internally about the the way to manage your business, and if we get, sometimes things get really complicated, and if we really kept it very simple, I was just doing some quick math on what Jeff put out there. If we take our closed unit goal and we were to multiply by like 2.5, that kind of gives us an idea of how many new appointments set we need in a given year in order to meet that goal. So if we can just keep focused on new appointments set each month and have that target, really you can manage everything through that one goal.
Exactly. Yep. Everything leads to the next thing, you know, that's the easy part about it. So thank you all so much for attending today. I really appreciate it. And let's just keep charging ahead. We're in the fourth quarter and it's halftime in fourth quarter. So let's just come out and finish strong.
Thanks, Cindy. Thanks, Jeffrey.
Bye, everybody. Thank
See
you so
guys. Good
much.
seeing you.
Take care.